the aliens. That isn't true. I wish I had some money from government sources that I did to go out and make circles. That would be great, you know, but they'd still be our circles, you know. But no, I've never been approached, and anyone who deviates from telling you that it's aliens making the crop circles immediately becomes a government agent. So Andrew Perker, this guy who's got this Facebook page called Reporter Crop Circle, and he was hardcore, you know, these circle makers are such... Have we got children in the audience? No? Yes. Bar stewards. These children, yes, these circle makers are bar stewards. And yes, they very nasty people, and you really wouldn't like them. He's flipped over this year. He's realized that people are making the circles. He's actually caught some people making the crop circles. And he's saying now that 99.1% of crop circles he thinks are, you know, made by people. And he's leaving a little window of doubt open there. And I like these statistics. It's like Vic Reeves said, 97.218157% of all statistics are made up. You know, you find a lot of statistics in the crop circle world. Right, this particular circle, you could say that it was an experiment of sorts, not by myself. The ones with exclamation marks on are to state that that's not my circle. But what I'm trying to show you here is that there were teams working back in the day, and let's say if they were doing things like this, they were getting themselves ready to be working at a point where they'd eventually be able to create things like this. And of course, you need to learn how to make lots of little squares before you can start filling them in to do designs like that, or like that. So things progress on. Things start off basic and they get more complicated, and that's what crop circles is. If you look at my designs, they were very basic, but they start to get a little bit more complicated. Now, we're all the way up to 1998. There's a bit of a gap here. A lot of circles which don't appear in the record, and I think we probably go backwards in a minute because I'm sure I had some before 1998. But anyway, let's skip on. All cannings. Simple circles. Only a couple of tram lines across. It's usually a good way to gauge how big these things are. Now getting a little bit more complicated, more geometry involved, but actually, even though that looks very complicated, you'd be surprised that everything in that circle is really made, I'm thinking, if I'm correct now in looking back, it's made with two measurements. The measurement from, let me have a look. Right, the measurement from there to there to create this initial circle, and then the measurement from there to there to create the radius, which is copied 6 times around the edge. 6 times. Yeah, 6. That number 6. It's a magical number in crop circles. It's a magical number for geometry. It does appear a lot because, strangely enough, 6 magically is the amount of times, whoops, nearly got that in there. 6 is the magical number that the radius of a circle will subdivide the circumference exactly 6 times. So we think that that's the reason that so many circle makers are fascinated with 6. Saying about the demon stuff, out demon out earlier on, I almost had to get up, and I was getting forced to leave the room at that point, and Ol here, he sort of held me down, and sort of that's how I managed to remain in the room. But I get accused of being a demonic force. I've had this said about me. So much so that I've kind of played up to it. You know, oh, you want to call me a demon, do you? Right, well, I'll call my YouTube channel Truth Seekers 666. It was really because the channel Truth Seekers was taken, so I had to get something memorable, and 666 on the end does get everybody asking questions, doesn't it? And if I'm called a demon, then I might as well go, well, maybe I am, or not, as the case may be. So certainly playing up to that one. All cannings. This was done in a strange type of crop. I think it was linseed, this crop. And it's a blue crop. Very hard to work in. It was rubbish. I wouldn't do it again, I know that. This was known as the Titanic triangle. Now, I said you can usually gauge the size of a crop circle by how many tram lines it crosses. In this case, it's deceiving because these tram lines are extremely wide. This was a very large crop circle, probably about over 300, 400 feet on the edges there. We had to join up 2 tapes together to get the edges. Very large, but this was hailed as, wow, this is just the best crop circle in ages when it first came out. We weren't expecting people to react like that, but it was a different type of design, and some people dubbed it the Queen. And I can kind of see why they might have dubbed it the Queen. At the time that we designed it, we didn't think of that ourselves, but this kind of looks like eyes, and this could be the mouth, and this could be the head wearing a hat, and it could have a crown on it. And, you know, I can kind of see why people might think that. This was actually decided upon being put in on the night. It wasn't on the paper. So it was something that we decided to do on the night, and it may have influenced the way people actually perceived that formation. Now, I've told people in the past, I haven't got a lot of time to go into it now, but I do believe, you're gonna think, but I thought he was a skeptic. I thought he was telling us that all crop circles are made by people. Yes, I am, but I do believe in paranormal powers, and I've had strange things happen to me whilst making crop circles. I've also had a lot of paranormal experiences in my life, but I know this for certain. Making crop circles brought an extra level of paranormal activity in my life whilst making the circles, and generally across the board. Things started happening because I was making crop circles. And I started all of this as an experiment to see, could it be done? Would the researchers take it seriously? Was the work that we were creating as good as the work of others? Would it be taken seriously, basically? And yes, it was. But even stranger than that, whilst we were making these circles, simply as an experiment, we had strange things happen to us. I've talked about this being a formation, but I've not been able to name that this was the formation it happened in. We had a fog bank come down over the field and cover us whilst we were making the formation. Now, we knew that there was a team of people who had an astronomy telescope with them. We could see them about 400 feet away. And we knew that if we worked in this field, that we would be so close to those people, they would be able to hear us and see us. It was that clear. We could see them, and we said it would be crazy to try and work that close to people who were watching that field and sky watching. And I even walked to the top of the field, walked in, and confirmed that there were people there and that they would be able to see us if we did it. And I went back and I told my friend Paul, he doesn't live in the UK anymore, but I told Paul, I said, mate, it's crazy, we can't do it. We can't do it. And he said, yeah, it's just crazy, isn't it? We can't do it. And I said, do you know what though? I get this really weird feeling inside that we should do it. This is just, we're going to get caught, this is stupid, but I just get this feeling we should do it. And he said, yeah, do you know, you're saying that, I kind of feel it too. And I'm like, let's go with our feelings. Let's just try and do it then. So we made this circle. We didn't specifically make any noise. We didn't shout, and we just kept to ourselves. But they should have been able to see us, and they should have been able to hear something at that distance. They never came in. We got away with making the circle. I asked afterwards who that team was, because I walked through them and I had my collar up and I sort of went, evening, oh, sky watching, is it? Oh, good night. And we just went through. They didn't know who I was, but I found out who they were afterwards, asked them the question, did you see anybody making this crop circle? And they said, no, it was really weird because we had a really clear night, and then all of a sudden a fog bank descended over that part of the field and we couldn't see anything. And in the morning, it lifted up and there was the crop circle. Now, I have no doubt, I don't have any reason to doubt these people's saying that. And I've experienced a lot of weird things in crop circles. Time dilation effects, rain stopping overhead so that we weren't being rained on in the crop circle whilst it was raining outside. Seeing black figures that you think are team members, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, you're counting the team members, and you go 5. Oh, hang on. So you look around, and then you see, no, there's a team member there standing right next to me. So you look back, and then it's 1, 2, 3. So it's like, hang on, there's one gone. And then people have said, yeah, I saw somebody there, and then I looked away and then he was gone. And it's like people have seen black figures in the crop circles, which is quite interesting. There's been photographs taken of these black figures, and they seem to be blacker than the rest of the photograph. Very interesting. But there's a lot of power